a former national chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, Chief Peter Obi, has said and used data to show that Peter Obi is the most formidable political force in Nigeria today, and to prove that if any coalition is to succeed to push out President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027, it has to be built around Peter Obi, using data from the last election to show that Peter Obi is the man to beat and deserve to be the one that they will build the coalition around instead of Atiku Abubakar. He used data from the last election to show that Peter Obi is far ahead of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and therefore should be the one that the coalition should be rallied around if it were to succeed at all. That is what we're going to look at right away. And it is interesting the way he presented it in the statement he sent to the media. And that statement from Chief Obi is what we're going to look at. His argument with facts and figures on why Peter Obi is on the ascending side and Atiku Abubakar is on the descending side as far as Nigerian politics is concerned. And as Nigerians look ahead to 2027 to seek a redeemer who will save them from the stranglehold of the All Progressive Congress. For a start, for those who don't know, IPAC, the Inter-Party Advisory Council, is the umbrella body of all registered political parties in Nigeria. So Chief Obi led them in the past. So he is somebody who is highly informed, and he contested the last election under the platform of the Labour Party in Kogi State. And so he is somebody who is well grounded in politics of Nigeria. He started politics at an earlier age, and he had been around for quite a while. He's somebody you have to respect his view, and his analysis of the last election, where he was able to use the data from INEC to show that Peter Obi is far ahead of Atiku Abubakar. If the coalition builders are sincere that they want a change, that it has to be Peter Obi and not Atiku Abubakar. Now let's look at it. The former IPAC chairman, Chief Peter Obi, he has used data to show that Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 presidential election, is a more formidable candidate than the former Vice President, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 presidential election. Using data from the 2023 presidential election results as released by the Independent National Electoral Commission, Chief Peter Obi says that the data speaks for itself, clearly demonstrating Obi's ability to challenge entrenched political giants like Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Atiku Abubakar, even without the backing of a robust political machine. He said his results, that's results of Peter Obi, after deductions by reading, particularly in southern Nigeria, and his competitive showing in the north, highlight a singular force in Nigerian politics, one whose inclusion is critical to any coalition aiming for success. He went on to say that in southern Nigeria, Peter Obi's dominance was undeniable. He noted that Peter Obi scored 44.5% of the vote shares, decisively outperforming Tinubu in the south, who got 35.5%, Atiku Abubakar at 19.4%, Rabiu Kwankwaso at a mere 0.46%. He noted that this commanding lead in the South illustrates Peter Obi's ability to resonate with voters in a region critical to electoral success. He said that Obi's performance was not just a victory, it was a statement of his ability to mobilize and inspire without relying on traditional political structures. He noted that Peter Obi did the same with APGA, the All Progressive Grand Alliance in Anambra State, when he defeated the entrenched People's Democratic Party establishment structure to become the governor of that state. Chief Ame observed that in northern Nigeria, the dynamics shifted. Ame is now going through the data in northern Nigeria, the result from that election. Chief Ame observed that in northern Nigeria, the dynamics shifted with Tinubu leading at 38.9%, followed closely by Atiku at 35.2%, Obi with 15.2%, trailed behind Obi with 15.2%, while Rabiu Kwankwaso garnered only 10.9%. And he made an important note. He noted that while Obi did not dominate the North, according to Ame, he said while Obi did not dominate the North, his 15.2% vote share is notable, given his lack of entrenched regional influence in northern Nigeria. Going further, this is what Chief Ame wrote in his statement. He said, more critically, the northern results exposes Atiku's vulnerability. Had Atiku defeated Tinubu in the north, as Obi did in the south, take note of that. He said, had Atiku defeated Tinubu in the north, as Obi did in the south, Tinubu will not be president today. Atiku's inability to secure a decisive victory in a region where he has contested for decades underscores his electoral weakness and over-reliance on the People's Democratic Party's machinery, Chief Ame argued in that his statement. He went on to say that Atiku's campaign leaned heavily on PDP's formidable structures, which included 13 governors, 38 senators, 122 House of Representatives members, and countless numbers of State House of Assembly members. Ame now, quoting Ame again, in his statement, he said, yet, despite this arsenal, Atiku secured roughly 6 million votes, remarkably the same total as Obi. Obi achieved this figure without a single governor, senator, or representatives in his corner. This parity in votes, despite the obvious contrast in resources, is a testament to Obi's individual appeal and grassroots momentum. Atiku's performance, by contrast, highlights his dependence on the People's Democratic Party's entrenched network, raising questions about his ability to inspire voters independently. End of quote. Writing further, Chief Ame noted, and I quote, the data paints a clear picture. Peter Obi is a singular force in Nigerian politics. The data paints, I'm quoting Ame now, say the data paints a clear picture. Peter Obi is a singular force in Nigerian politics. His 6 million votes, secured without party backing or political godfathers, reflect a groundswell of support that transcends traditional structures. Obi's ability to match Atiku's tally while operating as a political outsider underscored his unique electoral impact. Meanwhile, Atiku's failure to dominate the North, despite years of contesting and the robust political machine, reveals his limitations. End of quote. And in conclusion, Chief Ahmed said, the implications for future coalitions are clear. Obi's acceptance as the torchbearer for the opposition is not just beneficial, but essential for any alliance aiming to challenge the status quo. End of quote. This is a very robust argument in favor of Peter Obi being the arrowhead of the coalition that are being built. And you and I know, if you have been following the political dynamics going on in Nigeria today, that Atiku Abubakar is presenting himself once again to be the leader of any coalition that will emerge. Even though he has tried to be politically correct to say that when the coalition is formed, it's the coalition that will determine who will be. But you and I know we are no fools. We know what happens in these things that Atiku Abubakar want to contest unfailingly in 2027. But Chief Ahmed has shown his vulnerability as an individual contesting, because right now, ahead of 2027 election, the coalition is going to be built, that are going to be built, does not have the kind of traditional structure that favors Atiku Abubakar. And even when he has those structures, he had not been able to win elections. Okay? You can see that how vulnerable Atiku now looks when all the PDP governors dumped him, said they are not interested in building any coalition with him. And that is a signal of how 2027 is going to look like. 2027 therefore need a leader, a candidate who has an individual appeal in the grassroots, which is something that Atiku Abubakar is lacking. Atiku Abubakar, if he had the kind of grassroots support that Peter Obi had or has in the South, it would have been easier for him to win the North. Because like Chief Ahmed pointed out, if Atiku had defeated Tinubu in the North, Tinubu would not be president today, because Tinubu lost in the South to Peter Obi. If Atiku had beaten him in the North, Tinubu would not be president today, and this country would have been spared with all the shenanigans that have come out of his presidency. And we are going to election in 2027, in which the traditional structures that Atiku always work with are non-existent. And if you look at Atiku, anytime he doesn't have a formidable structure, his performance had always been abysmal. In 2007 election, when he contested under the ACN, okay, when he contested under a political party, then he had one governor, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was governor of Lagos State, and they formed a party, the ACN also. And Atiku was their presidential candidate. Go and check the performance of Atiku Abubakar. Very abysmal. So when Atiku Abubakar doesn't have a formidable structure, his performance has always been so abysmal. So anybody putting him out in 2027 at a time when almost all the governors are leaning towards Tinubu, some of them being coerced by threats of declaration of state of emergency in their state, others by EFCC and all that. So no governor want to be seen to be associated with the opposition people. PDP governors are defecting, are planning to defect, have already declared their support for Tinubu. Therefore, only the Nigerian people can be able to defeat the APC. And that the Nigerian people will need a galvanizer, somebody with integrity, somebody with grassroots appeal, somebody that can be able to mobilize, somebody they will look up to without seeking money. Because when they talk about that APC is formidable now because governors are jumping ship from PDP to APC, it's all about the money. But there are things, there are candidates that Nigerian people are rooting for, even when they don't have money. Peter Obi is one of them. Because they trust him, that he's a man of integrity, that he has the capacity, and most importantly, that he's not corrupt like most of the other politicians in Nigeria, like most of the other presidential candidates that have been throwing themselves to the national stage. He has a clean record. Nigerians trust that their money will be kept without being stolen under his care. And that if Peter Obi will not steal, he will not allow anybody under his government to steal. So he has integrity, he has capacity, he has the energy, he has the strength to be able to run this country. Tinubu is already too old, to the level that one of his political advisors resigned recently, telling him that he should better face his personal affairs, that he's running the country from abroad. He goes to abroad pretending to be looking after the affairs of Nigeria while pursuing his personal purposes. He has isolated himself. This advisor, Dr. Hakim Babamed, worked with him for almost 2 years and wasn't able to meet him. He is an isolated and insular president, and that is because of age. Atiku Abubakar is also having the same challenge. And that's why he's desperate to contest in 2007, in 2027. But this is beyond desperation. It is the country that is desperate for a change. And Ame is saying, Chief Ame is saying that Peter Obi is the only hope for the coalition to survive in this political landscape now, because the kind of structure that Atiku always rely on, it doesn't exist. And Atiku doesn't have the grassroots support. Atiku is no Muhammad Buhari. It is Muhammad Buhari that commands the kind of grassroots appeal that Peter Obi commands right now in Nigerian politics. And if you are to face APC with all the money and everything, you need somebody that the people will trust more than APC running around their pocket filled with words of naira and dollar, looking for who to bribe. So you need a leader, a candidate like Peter Obi. I think that's the message